What's cooking?
Special bell peppers and beef.
Our bell peppers and beef is going to need some type of sauce, so we're going to make a basic teriyaki here. We're going to be using a 1/4 cup of water, 2 tablespoons of mirin, 1/8 of a teaspoon of red pepper flakes. You can more or less add more depending on your spice preference. A 1/2 cup of soy sauce. I use a 1/2 cup of sugar, but if you don't want it to be so sweet, cut it to a 1/4 cup of sugar, and ginger. So if you're using dry, it would equate to 2 1/4 teaspoons. If you're using fresh, just 1 or 2 good peels of ginger. Cut that up really fine and throw that in. Lastly, you'll need a clove of garlic. You just smash it. You cut off the ends, like so. And any other part that seems a little discolored or just not to your liking. And then you just chop. You can cut at any speed you want. It's not a big deal. You're just going for very small pieces. And this overhand chop that I'm doing right now is able to cut it very fine and quickly. We're going to be using 1 on the sauce and 1 to 2 in the beef later. And I'll come back to that. So basically you're reserving 3 cloves of garlic. So now we're going to combine the soy sauce, sugar, water, mirin, ginger, red pepper flakes, and garlic in our medium-sized saucepan. We're going to give that a nice stir or whisk and slowly bring it to a boil. Once it's boiling, as in bubbling and hot, we're going to reduce the heat and start simmering it. So cover it, turn down the heat, let it simmer. This whole boiling to simmer process should be about 10 to 15 minutes depending on your heat level. After it's simmered for about 10 minutes, remove 2 tablespoons of sauce to a small bowl and whisk in your 2 teaspoons of cornstarch. This is going to make it a very thick, strange consistency, and this is perfect to thicken your sauce. So you're going to whisk that together and start pouring that into your saucepan now. Once you have your cornstarch in there, return the saucepan to a boil. Continue to simmer the product for about another 10 minutes. Throughout this simmering process, make sure that you do stir it every so often, every 2 minutes or so, just to make sure that the cornstarch is incorporated successfully and it's not sticking to the bottom of the pan or anything. Once the sauce has a thick consistency, you're gonna hold it off a spoon. It's gonna be a little more like a gel. You'll notice the difference. It's a pretty clear change. And if it's not there, just keep letting it simmer. It will get there. So once your sauce is thickened, pull it off the heat, take 1 tablespoon of honey and stir that in. This is some beef I bought at a local Japanese market. It's just standard Angus beef, chuck roll, and at most Asian stores, they'll cut all the meat very thin. I'm sure you can go to your butcher at your local grocery and they could maybe do that as well, but again, I was just in the area, so I hit up the local Japanese market. It's the easiest way to get your beef this thin ahead of time, so definitely go to your local Asian market. I'm sure you can get some thin cut beef there, and that'll do perfect here. So we're gonna take our beef and put it in a standard mixing bowl, and we're gonna add some of our sauce. As you can see, I just take a normal silverware spoon and I just put in about 6 to 8 spoonfuls of the sauce, just until you know the beef is coated, and then just let that mixture sit for about 10 minutes to really soak into the beef. And it can sit as long as you want, honestly, as long as you cover your bowl or put it back in the fridge so the beef isn't sitting out. The sauce is just gonna build into that meat and make it taste better and better the longer it has time to sit on it. And you could do this way ahead of time as well. So if you made your sauce in the morning or whatever, you could just take your cold sauce, throw it on your beef, and have your beef sit in it all day. That's just gonna make for a better beef. So consider all that ahead of time if you want it to be at its premium flavor. So now that we have our sauce made, let's get started on our bell pepper. This is just a standard green bell pepper. You could use anything you want, red, yellow, but green is the best in my opinion for this specific dish, and 1 is all you need, but I would personally go with 2. I like having the extra veg in there. So you're gonna take your pepper, hold it upright, and you're gonna chop down the sides. So now that you have your pepper chopped, you can take the inner membrane, throw that away, and slice all of your pieces into thin slices around this consistency. Once you have your peppers all sliced up, cut the end of your onion off, peel the outer layer. I usually peel 1 extra layer from within because you usually have pieces of onion that taste really bad if you don't peel that extra layer under it. So peel the 2 layers, cut off the other end, cut it in half, and then just cut it paper thin. This is about the thickness you want. Just a nice thin onion that'll cook down quickly and complement your pepper. We're gonna move over to my wok. You don't have to have one. You can use the most shallow pan you have. It'll work the same way. The wok is just fancy and it just allows more room for cooking. So we're gonna turn up the heat on the wok and we're gonna add our oil. This is around as much as you'd want. You could do a little less than what I did here probably, but I had a lot of ingredients going in, so I figured the extra oil was fine. Now we'll also take our 2 extra garlic cloves and we'll mince those up as well, like we did earlier. You can put those to the side for now. We're not gonna use those until everything is cooked, and we're basically gonna throw it in around the end because garlic cooks ridiculously fast. If you throw it in around the beginning, it'll burn and it'll ruin your dish. So now that our wok is heated up and our oil is hot, you can test this by taking a small drop of water and just tossing that into your pan. If it instantly sizzles, your pan is hot enough. Now that you have your hot pan though, we can take our peppers and our onions and throw them in, start cooking those down. This is optional, but I do recommend it if you want a good balance to your dish. Take a little bit of salt and sprinkle that onto your vegetables and pepper. So we're cooking down our peppers and onions, and that's it. Bell peppers and beef, everyone.
There's no beef in here. So you wouldn't really call it bell peppers and beef, now would you?
Yes, I would.
Well, it's not!
I'm sorry, Spike. Fine. We'll add in our beef then. So add in your beef and you can start cooking that down. You'll know when everything's cooked because it'll be nice and brown and it'll look completely edible. I'd give it about 5 to 8 minutes for your beef and everything to cook down. If it's still pink or red, continue to cook. Total though, I'd say around 10 to 12 minutes, everything will be done in your pan. And near this ending step, when you know everything is cooked, take your garlic, throw that in, take a little bit extra of your sauce. You could spoon some more of that in. It's really up to you how much of the sauce you use. I like to reserve some on the side to add to my rice that I usually serve this with. So you could take a serving of your rice, whatever you want, brown, white. You take a little bit of your sauce, put that on your rice. Then you take your mixture, put that on top. And then you can top it with a little sriracha or whatever is up to you. And there you are. That is Cowboy Bebop style, bell peppers and beef.